Ronnie here. Welcome to trip episode number 29. On this particular trip, we are in a place called Brunswick, which is in Western Australia. Now this is more of a challenge trip, although we do have a point A and a point B. So sit back and chill and enjoy. Oh, and give us a thumbs up if you like the video. All vehicles on this trip have front and rear diff lockers, apart from the Jeep, which relies heavily on its traction control, and it's quite impressive actually. In regards to tyre pressures, we are all running somewhere in between 14 to 24 psi. This provides us with sufficient traction when it comes to rocks, ruts and other obstacles along the track. Before we got into too many of the challenges, we arrived at one of the many peaks within the Brunswick area to have a quick bite to eat and to soak up some pretty awesome views. Just that little bit too slow can get you stuck sometimes. As you can see, there is a much easier line to take. However, we're just here to have a little bit of fun. So every now and then you'll see us take the harder line. So here we are at Bob's Hill. We're not going to do this. It's going to take quite a few hours to get all the vehicles up, and I don't really fancy panel damage today. We'll be back here one day though with some other vehicles going up. After checking out Bob's Hill, we then headed for our second river crossing of the day. The river was quite low, which was surprising considering the amount of rain that had been just recently.
The leaf springs and that stone up there.
The entrance to this river crossing, or creek crossing, whatever you want to call it, is quite steep, sloppy, and there's a lot of rocks around. So slow and steady wins the race here. First gear low and just let the engine idle on its way down. So by now you would have heard a fair share of bumps and scrapes to the undercarriages of these vehicles. That is a prime example why we have underbody protection and side protection to prevent the actual vehicle from getting damaged itself. turned into slop halfway down. Now the trick here is if you start to slide a little bit, do not jar your brake, because if you jar your brake, the rear end may try and overtake the front end, sending you sideways on a hill, which is not ideal. Further along the tracks and trails, Brad saw an irresistible challenge he just couldn't resist. And so here is Brad's Hilux in action.
Just lacking a bit of clearance there, so I might just throw a couple of rocks in.
There weren't too many rocks and sticks around, so we ended up getting the max tracks off instead. Here we are at a bit of a puddle. Now we poked a stick around and found a few deep ruts, so my intention was to go around the deep ruts. Now that was obviously a bit of a brown pants moment. I didn't expect that, and I still can't quite explain how it happened. I think I was just too close to the edge and I slipped in. Brad's turn now, and he decides to go for the middle. As you can see, a gentle pull with the snatch strap is all it takes. Now it does help that the Cruiser is a lot heavier in comparison to the light Hilux. These kind of steep hills with loose rocks, the best approach is first gear low, and if you have a rear locker, keep it activated. The front locker, only use it when you're not turning. this type of hill descent, where there's a lot of rocks and it's steep and there's a lot of drop-offs, I use first gear low. I keep the rear locker engaged at all times, and I keep my foot well away from the clutch. Also, I only feather the brake when I need to. It's best not to ride your brake. Always rely on your engine compression. For these types of challenging hills, we always have a spotter to help guide the driver. Now Brad in his Hilux, he cannot see what is right in front of him, which is why you need to have a spotter. Here is a bit of a spotting example. Now what you need to let the driver know is which way to turn the wheels, when to move and when to stop. Now you can do this by simply hand signals or UHF radio. Now hand signals works great for us because we understand our body language from each other. If it's someone's first time out, you may need to explain what you actually mean by your hand signals. So here we are, almost at camp, but we had a few roadblocks on the way.
Too much bouncing it now. Machete wins. Look at the difference. Yeah.
Trying to locate camp now. Hopefully no more trees across the track. We've passed about, I think that was the fourth. That was the only one we had to remove. here we are at the end of the trip. Now, I'll send a drone up to give you some cool aerial footage, but crashed a drone yesterday, so no more drone until we get it fixed. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up and leave us a comment. I upload videos every Sunday, so do subscribe to keep up to date. Also, if you want some more information on Jack's Patrol or Brad's Hilux or Torben's Landcruiser, there are modified episodes on just those vehicles. Look for those in my channel. Thanks again for watching. Take care out on the tracks and trails. See ya.